Hi guys. There we go. Sorry I wasn't able to get an intro done at the American Girl store, so I'm going to do it now, just before my editing. I'm going to do a little preface. I know before everything with COVID-19 hit, we took a trip down to the Houston store, and then, while everything was going on, we, sorry, my wrist stitches. While everything was going on, we got my niece an American Girl for her birthday. And so, after talking with my mother-in-law, my niece had wanted to go to the Dallas store. We had already been previously to the Dallas store, but anyways, last year. But my niece had wanted to go to the store last summer, when we took a family trip. And so, talking with my mother-in-law got a hold of my niece's mother, my niece is my husband's brother's daughter. That's who I'm talking about. Her mom has primary custody of her, so we have to go through her mom for a lot of the stuff. Anyways, so she talked to my niece's mother, and she agreed to let us take her to the Dallas store. Now, my mother-in-law was supposed to come with, but she was unable to last minute. But we did have a good time. I don't know if my niece's mom is okay with her being on YouTube, so I didn't get any, I didn't even pull out the camera aside from taking a few pictures on my phone with my niece and my kids at the store. So it was my niece's birthday. We took her to the store. We let the kids shop around for a few hours. My son and my doll, and one of my dolls, each got their hair done. My niece, we got her doll's ears pierced that we got her for her birthday. Then we went and ate in the bistro, and in the bistro, they have different procedures now. They actually put us back in the corner. They still have the little sets that you get, but they come in the plastic. So we have one set that's open, and then we have some that are still in the packaging because my kids didn't even open them up. But yeah, the kids had a great time. But after we were done eating, my niece wasn't feeling the best, so my husband took her and the kids back out to the car while I purchased a couple other items, and then I filmed the store. And I will also say, I'll put that at the end. So, I hope you enjoy. Because of American Girl having lots of loud music, I do have to just insert some music and mute it all. And I apologize in advance if I walk a little fast in some areas. I was also the store wasn't that busy, but I was also trying to respect the privacy of other shoppers who might not want their children on YouTube. There might be some kids in here that don't belong to me. I tried to quickly move the camera so they're not on. But I try to respect the privacy of other shoppers and try not to get them on camera. So with further ado, here is the Dallas, Texas store on June 16th, 2020, post-COVID-19 opening. So I hope you enjoy. Bye! Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Just kind of like how the store looks now. Like you literally, when we were in Houston, yeah, it was 2 different stores. You'll get the beforehand, like with all the displays out and everything, like kids can interact and play around. And then you go post-COVID where they do still have displays, but a lot of the displays now are behind plexiglass, or if they're not behind plexiglass, they have pulled out like the little pieces that kids typically like to play with. So like for instance, Joss's bus, when we were in Houston, they had everything that came with Joss's bus out and the kids could play with it. They could play with the bus, where now the bus itself is just sitting there and nothing else that goes with the bus is there. So what I had said at the intro that I was going to put in the outro. So we went to the Dallas store in November when my mom visited for Thanksgiving. Now, granted, I hadn't been to the Houston store yet, and the last American Girl store, and the only American Girl store I had really ever been to, was the Mall of America. And I personally had been to the Mall of America 3 or 4 times store, from the point it opened to the point it closed. So I always had that level of expectation of the store. When we went to Dallas in November, I was very disappointed in the employee communication, and it just, they weren't super, they were mildly busy. They weren't busy, but they weren't dead. Like when we went the other day, or in this video, I would say this was like a dead day. There were not many customers in the store, period. But anyways, so we went in November, and I had a bunch of dolls, and I mean a bunch. We had 10 dolls that had to be sent into the hospital because they had the old eye, or the new eyes. The new eyes, they were always looking down when you'd stand the doll up. You could see the side, the plastic pieces on the side. They were really bad eyes. So I had 10 dolls to bring in to send to the hospital. Now I come in and I'm carrying them in this box. I had initially planned to mail them to the doll hospital, but being we were making this trip, I changed my mind. And to protect them in mailing, I had wrapped them all in saran wrap. So they were all still in the wrap. They were all in the box. The box had the eye forms attached to them. I had them rubber band to the doll that it belonged to. And like I said, I had everything organized so when it went off to the hospital. Well, when I get there, I carry in the box, and the first person that sees me is like, "What's the box about?" And I go, "I have dolls that need to go to the hospital." And she's like, "Okay, you go over there." So we go over to the counter where you're supposed to bring, or to the register, and she starts pulling out the dolls, and then she's going to charge me. And I'm like, the forms are right there. The forms state on there they're going in for the eye repairs, and I'm not to be charged for the eye repairs. And she kind of got snippy with me about that. And then all of a sudden this other employee comes over and starts ripping the saran wrap off all the dolls. And she's nitpicking each of the dolls' eyes and telling me I'm being nitpicky. And one of the dolls, she's like, "The eyes are fine." And I even like, you know what? She goes, "Well, they're probably just going to send it back to you if you send it in." I go, "Okay, that's a risk I'm going to take." Because I was having a difficult time telling which were the good eyes and which were the bad eyes. Because we did have a few that I left at home that had good eyes. And that was one I was kind of questioning. So anyways, I mean, she was very rude about it. They would unwrap them and then literally just throw them back in the box. And I'm thinking, why did you unwrap them? You could have just unwrapped the face to look at the eyes if that's what the issue was. But they were just very rude. And then afterwards, she just walks away, and I'm like, shouldn't I get any sort of confirmation? I've got a small fortune of dolls sitting right that you just literally walked off with. Do I get some sort of paperwork that proves that I brought in this, and this doll? And she goes, "Oh, because they're the warranty eyes, we don't do that." Later on, I found out they're supposed to do that. So anyways, it started off not on a great foot, which then put me kind of in an uneasy mood, which then put my daughter in a sour mood. So we go upstairs, and we didn't make reservations for the bistro, but it was empty. I mean, this was after lunch. We literally stood at the counter for 15 minutes, not even being acknowledged. Like, multiple employees walked by, not even a "can we help you," blah, blah, blah. Nothing. Not even a "kiss my butt." Nothing. We stood there for 15 minutes, and finally, like, the kids are hungry, we're hungry, and I'm just like, you know what? We're not even going to bother eating here, because clearly they don't need our money. And then when you looked around the bistro, the tables weren't even cleared. Like, most of the tables were still, like, food is still sitting on it from patrons that have left. And it turned into a mess. We did purchase a few things while we were there, but I wasn't impressed. I wrote an email to American Girl themselves with my disappointment. And in fact, another thing, my husband has been in the Kansas City store a few times for his work. Training is in Kansas City, so they would send him down to Kansas City for training. While he was there, he'd usually rent a car, and a few times he'd drive over because he'd be there for like a week or two. So on his time off, he'd drive over to the American Girl store to pick up. In one case, he took down a doll to get its ears pierced. Another, he took a doll down to get its hair done. And then he would pick up like little gifts for my kids. You know, like when you go on a trip and you bring a little gift back for loved ones. He would pick something up for the kids there, because for his employer, you can purchase items where the training is at that are like logoed for his company. He had, between the time he started working until just after we moved here, he had to go to training, which, like I said, is like 2 to 3 weeks each training. I think 7 times in 3 years. So pretty much everything in the store they had, he had already purchased for our kids. So he started just going to American Girl and picking up different things for them. So he even said that the way the Dallas store was not the level of how he was when he was in Kansas City, because he's like, when I walk into Kansas City, you've got employees there asking how I'm doing, asking if they can help me find anything specific. When I came walking in with the doll, you know, what can we do for you with the doll? The doll salon's over here. Like, he was there very friendly, and there was a few times he wasn't sure what to get the kids, so he's like kind of describing, they're like, well, which dolls do they have? So he's kind of trying to remember which ones they had, and they steered him in the direction of like items for those dolls, or like, what does your child like steering him in directions on what to get each child. So those were our experiences in the store. And then when we went down to Houston, Houston was back to what we expected from Mall of America, as well as my husband in Kansas City. So I'm like, Dallas is actually closer than Houston. The Houston store just opened up, so I don't even think their bistro is open yet. When we went to the one in Houston, we didn't make reservations for the bistro then either, and I walked up and I said, hey, I know I didn't make reservations. You can tell me no. And the lady's like, no problem, we'll get you in. So that's, like I said, the level that I was expecting. This time I did make reservations for the bistro because I knew with the COVID, they were limited number of seating, limited times and such. So I did make reservations then. But we walked in, we got there right as they opened. We walked in, a bunch of employees were greeting the kids and like asking the kids, like, is this your first time here? Obviously my kids are, no, we've been to Mall of America. We've been here once, and we've been to Houston as well. But it was my niece's first time. So she got a sticker that said my first time. Kind of like how Disney has that pin, like my first Disney trip. So she got a little sticker. And then we walked around, and then we're asked, like, they come over. They were still coming over, like, they couldn't get down and play with the kids. But they were still asking the kids, like, what they liked. To kind of like, well, maybe you want to go look over here. Maybe you want to go look over here. So we looked around for a bit, and then we went upstairs to get the 2 dolls' hair done. We then came downstairs. The kids picked up what they wanted. I purchased those items, and then we went up for our bistro time. And then my husband took the kids out. I purchased a few more items, and then I walked around the store. And even when I was walking around the store, I mean, obviously I'm filming. And you might notice in there, because I didn't really edit it out, there's a few times that it's like I'm still recording, but I stop. Well, what it is some of the employees were coming over, like I said, there wasn't many there. And the manager, as I'm recording, asked if I was finding everything okay. I'm like, yeah. I go, I'm just recording for my YouTube channel. And she goes, oh, really? She goes, people watch that? And I'm like, yeah. And I go, in fact, when I was in the Mall of America store, when it was open way back when, I said, my friend and I did some filming, and I got some comments from people like, oh, I didn't realize American Girl made this. Then they went to the website and purchased the items. And she goes, yeah, our website's a little difficult to navigate, but thank you for doing that. She goes, I didn't realize people watched videos of just the stores. And I go, yeah, we just in Houston. I videoed the store literally days before you close. Kind of a nice comparison, even though they're two different stores, of like what post-COVID or pre-COVID looked like and now what post-COVID looks like in the store. And I said, as well as there's a few items that came out during COVID that are now in the store that weren't prior. And she's like, yeah. She goes, so we were talking and we were chit-chatting, and then we were discussing dolls and like Heather's collection. One of the ladies was saying one of her coworkers was at Goodwill like the day before and found a white body Samantha in pristine condition, and she's like, she paid $4 for it, and she's walking around hugging it like nobody's even going to look at this doll. And so we were discussing that, and then there was another elderly lady who actually checked us out the first time, and she said that she works at the store to get discounts for her granddaughters. And we were talking, I mean, it was back to what I expect from American Girl. So I'm really happy to say that this was a very positive experience. It was a positive experience for my niece for her first time in a store. I'm just, overall, I'm happy we went. Now my niece wants to go down to the Houston store, which we've been discussing it with my brother-in-law and his wife, and then my mother-in-law, that we might be taking a trip, the 8 of us, all going down to the Houston store together, because the mall that the Houston store is in has a skating rink. So we're thinking maybe like around Thanksgiving-ish time to take the kids down there and then make reservations. We eat there and then let the kids skate, shop the store and such. So I know that this is long-winded. Thank you for watching. I'm going to have a couple different haul videos because I have what we bought. I have some things that I had ordered that came in, ironically, the day we went. So I'm going to have a few different American Girl hauls, and I'm going to break it up so that it's not so mundane to watch. So I hope you enjoy, and bye!